Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chinese Contenders Week 3, Day 2. My name is Ham Tornado. I'll be the host on the desk today, joined by my lovely analysts, Kenobi and Vowels. How are you guys feeling today? I see you're already rocking that synergistic same button up as well as the jacket. Although, Kenobi, I got to give you -2 points for the collar. You got to tuck that in, man.
The color. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take my loss. I'll take my loss, but I think I'm gonna win my map predictions today. So.
Oh boy,
I
already
was
spicy.
wondering how far we'd make it in.
What is it? 30 seconds? 30 seconds?
Did you know last week Kenobi beat me on one map prediction and he won't shut up about it? Hopefully I can redeem myself today.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be the hope of Vowels, because we have a very potentially close matchup for our first game on the docket. It will be Moss 7 Club versus LGD Gaming. And this is, pretty high stakes here, actually, in terms of playoffs. But for anybody who is just now joining us, really quickly, we are Broadcast.gg, a community of amateur casters, hosts, and analysts bringing you this Chinese Contenders English cast. And LGD, Kenobi, can you, Vowels, can you tell us a little bit more about this team? They started off at the beginning of their career at a pretty high point, a little bit different nowadays, though.
Yeah, LGD Gaming has maybe been one of the disappointments of this Contender season so far. They were the second place team, I believe, in Contender season 1. They looked like they were one of the strongest teams in the region. Everyone had high hopes coming into the season, but they started out 1-1. It's been a little bit rocky. Anyone who knows anything about Chinese Overwatch, probably has heard of the DPS players, Shy and Eileen. And with big names like that, you'd expect great performances, but they haven't been as consistent as they like. And if the DPS can't step up, the rest of the team hasn't been able to compensate. So if LGD Gaming will win today, we need to see Shy and Eileen on a hot streak, but they have been a bit streaky. They haven't always been up to the standards we'd expect.
Certainly. And Kenobi, can you just give us a little bit of foundational information about their opponent's Moss 7 Club?
Well, Moss 7 Club is a kind of an interesting team that we've seen, and they, like to run a little bit of, different compositions that we're not quite used to, some solo Roadhog, solo Diva, triple DPS compositions that we're not really, adapted to. They have this really nice combo of Jinmu and Mask. I really like, how they've been playing these compositions, because last season when they were playing these kind of compositions, it felt very Mystery Hero-esque, right? Where they're kind of just like, let's just throw all these ingredients into a bowl and mix them together, see what comes out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But now it seems like whenever they're pulling out these types of weird or not truly meta compositions, it actually has some rhyme or reason to it. So I like that now compared to their first season, they actually have kind of an idea of what they're doing with these compositions, and it can throw people off guard, as we saw last week where they took down I believe it was LYB, who they beat LYB 3-1 in a very interesting game, and they pull out some interesting compositions. So I'm interested to see what these teams are going to bring out.
And going 3-1 against LYB, that's no mean feat given kind of where Moss 7 Club was sitting in the previous seasons. And so, Kenobi, do you think that the unexpected compositions will be what nets them this win coming into this series?
I think they definitely have a chance. LGD does have this kind of ability to have that sort of backpack potential that I'm not sure Mask or Jinmu has. Eileen and Mask, I think, are the two DPS for LGD, and we've seen so far, or no, it's Eileen and Shy rather. Eileen and Shy are two very, very good DPS, and Mask and Jinmu, while they do have their moments, Mask and Jinmu, don't have that kind of carry potential that I've been seeing from Eileen and Shy. Shy, probably one of the clutchest players in Chinese Contenders. There's moments where he'll just get 1, 2, 3 headshots, boom, the fight's completely over. Eileen, we know that LGD likes to put a lot of resources into them. So for Moss 7 Club, it's going to be interesting to see if those weird compositions are going to throw the enemy team off guard at all.
You definitely want your enemy team to be thrown off guard, and not yourself by running strange stuff that you're not entirely sure how that's going to work. But it might be, those weird niche pocket picks working out for Moss 7 Club. But Vowels, on the side of LGD, will this be the game for Shy where he makes it or breaks it for his team?
I feel like we do have to see it from Shy if LGD wants a chance to win this game. We've seen both these teams over 2 weeks, so we know what they're capable of. We know Moss 7 are capable of a lot. If you want to find an answer to some of the wacky stuff they can pull, like suddenly pulling out a Farah, who main tank goes over to Pharaoh and Kingsway second. We've seen that from our 7 club. It works. We need to see Eileen and Shy as a DPS duo step up and find answers to that. And I feel like it is going to rest a little bit more on Shy, on that Widowmaker to really pop off. We know how strong snipers are in the current meta. Absolutely insane pick potential, and Shy really needs to put the work in today, I think.
Yeah, it will be a lot of pressure on these DPS carries from both sides of the teams because we are now moving into week 3 and the stakes are ever increasing. We're now talking about the potential for either side to kind of drop out of the playoffs running. Kenobi, can you just kind of set the stakes here moving into this first series?
So both of these teams are 1-1 so far. So both 1 loss, 1 win. Their map differential is pretty close. Moss 7 Club currently has the +1, while LGD has the -1 to their map differential. So LGD is sitting at that 4th spot, just on the border of whether or not they're going to be able to get to playoffs, while Moss 7 Club in their Group B are sitting at 3rd place. So this is a very important game given the circumstances that we only have, 2 weeks left after this, right? So the team that loses this is going to go down to 1 and 2. So if you're LGD, especially with the map differential you already are losing, this is one of those games where even if you're going to lose, you need to start taking some maps off of Moss 7 Club, because this, like a 4-0 for Moss 7 Club right here, is just extremely detrimental to the playoff hopes of LGD just in general.
It's got to be tilting too when we talk about, Widowmakers and Shy needing to perform on that hero. Getting those early losses will kind of hurt LGD, I'm going to guess, in that keeping up that positive mentality moving into map after map. Now, Vowels, kind of going to throw you a little trick question over here. We do know that Shy's DPS counterpart on the same team, Eileen, kind of has some of those pocket picks as well, saying Moss 7 Club running, solo Roadhog. Do you think we might actually get a taste of the man with the plan? More importantly, the man with the fist, Doomfist, coming in here?
Oh god, I'd love to see Eileen pull out a Doomfist. I feel like when you're going against a team like Moss 7 Club that's got all these wacky hidden strats, if you can catch them off guard with something like that Doomfist, that could really play into your favor. So sure, maybe not as much as I'd love to see it, maybe not necessarily Doomfist, but I feel like Eileen has to pull out something unexpected to be able to catch off Moss 7 and give an advantage back over to LGD Gaming.
Yeah, and sometimes, it's just that couple of, dives into the back line, sowing some discord among the support players could throw, open up some of those sight lines for Shy on the Widowmaker potentially. But you guys, I know you're chomping at the bit to get to the real meat of why the favorite part of Analysts on the desk is going to be the predictions. So we have both of these teams on the cusp of potentially taking that crucial win from the other. Gonna throw to Kenobi right here. You have 5 seconds. What is your prediction?
Moss 7 Club 3-1.
3-1. Vowels.
It pains me, but I've got to agree with Kenobi. Moss 7 Club 3-1.
All right, we're in agreement here. Let's see the casters now. The baton is in your corner. Bringing us these games will be Labosco and Panda. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Ham. Glad to have you here with us as already. Point just about to open here on Lijiang Tower. Both teams making their way onto the point right now. Jinmu dealing the damage out, high percentage charge as the Zarya's Moss 7 Clubs will get the early take here, Panda.
Yeah, Jinmu and Vanessa being the main damage dealers on Moss 7's Club Goatish composition. I really like to see it coming out. Never in the end, LGD speaking onto the desk. Shy and Eileen coming out on their prevalent heroes for the meta. Widowmaker and Farah making a send line, and there's the first pick on to the shield main. Can't get in the sky too easily. That one can't.
Eileen there in secret doing a lot of damage to get this one flipped back over to LGD Gaming. Only 24% built up for Moss 7 Club here. As far as these comps, what we're seeing here early on, how do they stack up against each other? Does Moss 7 have to make any switches?
Going forward off of Moss 7's swaps, I mean, if they need to take any of them, they need to do them now. They're not going to, but they need to be careful and take this Widowmaker's sightlines to Whole Heart and Flourish. Now, this damage coming through will be able to enable Jinmu on all the charge in the known universe, but when you're getting booped around like a ping-pong ball, you ain't gonna get any damage off, man.
Eileen on this Pharaoh right now, stellar for them, Panda, as they have control. They do have 2 defensive ultimates to work with as well. Vanessa does have the Diva Bomb along with Good, and so they do have some things to work with on the side of Moss 7 Club, but not a lot.
Not a lot at all, but more or less, you have to look for LGD Gaming. They have both support ultimates as well, Labosco, and they're going to have a self-destruct backed by Shy's infrared sight very early indeed, as Mass finally taking the swap himself to take the 1v1 versus Shy. Might be a moment too late, as the control meter's already up 55%.
Vanessa was putting some pressure onto Shy there as well, so Shy have position. Now has Jinwoo as well coming there. 62% that they've been able to build up. Maybe a chance here for Moss 7 Club to get back control of this point. Jinwoo has the Graviton Surge, hasn't found an opportunity to use it now, but his team getting taken out by Eileen's barrages. They are now in a good position to keep this one going. Vanessa just desperately trying to get away, and they're not going to be able to. 78%. One last fight potentially coming up here for Moss 7 Club.
This is what the Des was talking about prior to our match here on Night Market, is that Shy and Eileen needed to come alive, and Eileen is doing just that, backed by the wonderful pocketing of LGD Gaming's Mercy, and they're setting themselves up wonderfully for this 92% contested thus far.
And now for LGD, Shy has switched onto the Tracer as well. Moss 7 Club with their chance here. Graviton Surge might have gotten in. I didn't see where it ended up going, but either way, we go back to the point now and see self-destruct just coming up and not hitting anything. Also having one available on the other side is the player in Yaoxia, as Yaoxia is still holding on to that, as his team's still in control of the point. They lost it for a second on that back cap, but Penanda, it doesn't matter. They take map number 1, LGD Gaming does.
Yeah, going forward off that, they're going to be feeling pretty good. I mean, stellar counter compositions coming out right off the gate for LGD Gaming against Moss 7 Club, and this is what they needed. A furthermore statistic to think about control map is that LGD Gaming only have 1 victory on control, and it's not even Lijiang Tower. It was a map 5 victory against Lucky Future last week. So I mean, this team is looking fantastic, like they went back to the drawing board altogether. Download coming back fully completed, and they're able to enable their DPS that much further and come through strong and strong.
So what has to happen here now for Moss 7 Club as they are making their switches now for what looks like Gardens?
For Gardens itself, I believe that MSC, Moss 7 Club, they need to be ready for the Fair in the Sky. I mean, Eileen, know that this is a very heavy projectile DPS player, loves to play the Fair as well. Gardens is a heavy Fair map, no swaps coming out for LGD Gaming, but it's Mask who comes out of the gate on Widowmaker, so the 1v1 scenario versus Shy is prevalent, but getting the Fair out of the sky so that way Guden can go ahead and land those volleys of Discord that much easier.
Mask getting some damage dealt to him here, but able to stay alive right now, as just looking for a flank here is Eileen. Team has managed to get a couple of kills in the meantime. Looking now for the Baby Diva and Vanessa, as they are in complete control right now. Just have a few players left to deal with near the point, going towards that white room. But they do finally get the point here. Actually, Moss 7 did sneak a couple of percentage points there, even though they were losing that battle.
They were able to do it on the previous map as well, up to about 20% or so, before LGD Gaming finally made a headway onto the point. But this is the hardest part about the two maps of Gardens and Night Market, is that once you have the point in your favor, it's very hard to dislodge the team already on the point. But the pick, oh, there comes the resurrection. Of course, should have saw that one coming, of course, back to the 66 scenario, but no resurrection for LGD Gaming in the next 30 seconds.
26% being built up to now. Eileen continuing to deal the damage out, as Jinmu is quickly eliminated here. Hasn't been able to right now for the side of Moss 7 Club. Vanessa quickly being eliminated by the help of Eileen, as well, as they are in complete control of this point, building up already to 42%.
And they're not even really needing to use any ultimates. They haven't been pressured to do so. 50% rounding about 55 before the next team fight will occur, and we will have all 4 support ultimates on the board. LGD Gaming sitting very comfortably, keeping their supports alive, frontline pressure being active, and Eileen uncontested in the sky thus far, because Mask has been very preoccupied with the 1v1 versus Shy. Infrared sight coming out for Shy, speaking up.
Control point, though, Moss 7 Club has been sort of a cardiac kid before on it. We'll see if it happens again. Eileen continues with these rocket barrages, and then just jumping in is the 800-pound gorilla and Garcia, as they just clean up another fight.
And Garcia coming in there, Goomba stopping and flattening everything inside that small little room, has the Primal Rage in tow, so he's going to be sticking around towards the backline, seeing if he can catch any stragglers, such as Mask coming in here. Shy, not looking any or peek here on this kill feed, getting another headshot onto the Moss 7 Club Mercy, who had the Valkyrie. That's huge.
Yeah, Sia coming in, still has the self-destruct that's usable as well. Transcendence coming out for the team here as the fight continues on. Micro missiles don't find much, have to avoid the self-destruct thrown by Vanessa here, and just continuing to hold on for now is Sia throws the self-destruct up in the air as Eileen and the tank and Garcia continuing to help out here and deal the rest of the damage needed to maybe get them this first map win. They just have a couple of stragglers that they have to find, as that Genji able to get them out of the air in Jinmu, but it doesn't matter because the point ends up being one. LGD Gaming strike first here in map number 1 on Lijiang.
Yeah, and that's got to be getting a strong headway. I want to make sure that this point really sticks true and tried. Is that, hey, this is going to be their first win on Lijiang Tower in quite some time. Again, their only map victory being on not Lijiang, of course, is going to be setting themselves up very wonderfully in this series going forward. Moss 7 Club going back to the proverbial drawing board, coming off of control, having to download any sort of bit of information coming off of there and going forward into the next map to see what they can do better.
Well, we don't know what that next map yet is, but we'll find out here soon. But before that, we will take a quick timeout, and then we will be back with map number 2 here on Contenders China on Broadcast.gg.
Got your hands on me. Every time we touch, there's a sense of urgency. Yeah, you wind me up. Oh, baby, I know I'm falling deep. I never get enough cause we fit so perfectly. I'm not afraid of love. Every night I need you more. Days go longer now without you than before. Just thinking about you gets me high. Cause you know how to leave this soul electrified. When you take me down, when you take me down. You're never off my mind. I'm living in the dark till you come and give me light. You know you break the storms. Oh, I'm feeling undefined. I've never been strong, so I fall for the bad guys. I'm not going back anymore. Oh, every night I need you more. Days go longer now without you than before. Just thinking about you gets me high. Cause you know how to leave this soul electrified. When you take me down, when you take me, when you take me when you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down.
And welcome back here on Contenders China, brought to you by Broadcast.gg. I am Labasco. Panda's alongside of me. And Panda, we are going to our second map here in just a little bit. But let's look at that first map again. Lijiang Tower, LGD Gaming did a really good job and really controlled and won outright. They controlled everything from start to finish. Is this sort of the expectation you had from them going into this one?
Your wordplay is fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, gaining control on a control map, well played, sir.
Right.
But
Thank you.
I think that, again, coming out of the gate with that core composition, they didn't need to swap going in between Gardens and Night Market. I mean, putting Shy on Widowmaker, keeping Eileen on that comfortable Pharah pick really enables keeping their Mercy alive in a proper anchor in multiple directions. It's definitely a good way to go. You can see a strong comfort coming out from LG Gaming. I was mentioning it during our cast as well, that this team must have gone back to learn their mistakes, if you will, going against Moss 7 Club, who is very actually almost lossless on control, and giving them that convincing loss itself on Lijiang is a statement within its own self, especially because it's coming from Eileen and Shy. Our analysts on the desk also noted that these two DPS players really need to show up today, and I think they're doing just that.
And it definitely felt that way. Eileen was definitely a difference maker, it felt like, during Lijiang Tower. But for Moss 7 Club, the people we were expecting to maybe see, Mask was very quiet. Jinmu definitely was somebody who was noticeable, but maybe not as much as that was needed. We know we're going now to Kings Row 2, and we know that both of these teams, Panda, haven't had exactly the greatest time on Kings Row, but that's going to end here. One of them's going to get a win finally. Both of them haven't.
That's absolutely right. I mean, the Stony Brick way of Kings Row is not favor to LGD Gaming or Moss 7 Club. But to your point, Labasco, yeah, one of these teams, they're going to walk away with the win. Unless we walk away with it. It is possible to walk away with a draw here. I don't want to see it happen, but it is possible. And although it would bring a lot of fun talking points, I definitely would love to see one of these teams walk away with their first win on Kings Row in a hybrid map in particular. But to your previous point about Moss 7 Club, they were a little quiet, if you will. The Vanessa himself was a little suppressed, in my opinion. That flexibility coming out from Vanessa was snuffed out early on, and really hard focused on a main role. I mean, I know Vanessa can play a multitude of heroes, to accompany both Jinmu and Mask as well. So I look forward to seeing this on King's Row, as it will be Moss 7 Club attacking first, hovering over a pretty strange composition I highly doubt it, but along with LGD Gaming setting up a dive defense, they're looking to take anything that Moss 7 Club takes out of the gate and take it into the ground.
Well, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that we'd see them do triple DPS. We have seen it before. Vanessa does switch over to the Zarya. So Ryan Zarya with the dual snipers going into dive. Who looks better at the start here, just as far as comps going against each other looks?
Well, it's double sniper versus one Genji and a Widowmaker as well. So you know that Eileen on Genji will be hunting for the opposing Shimada brother of Jinmu. Good stuff thus far. A defensive Genji is almost to be expected out of most of these teams in Chinese Contenders. Is a fantastic DPS nevertheless. And on a very compatible players such as Eileen, who will fall down early. Mask ripping off the cybernetic mask, if you will, of Eileen early on.
Yeah, but Shy is going to get the worst end there, or get the better end of Mask there, though, I should say. And the rest of the team starts to follow afterwards. So even though they get that great first pick, the rest of the team not going to go that way. So Moss 7 Club back to the drawing board here. They do have some ults that are starting to build up close, but same thing with LGD. This is a pretty good spot for LGD Gaming.
Something to definitely keep note on is that it will be Mask with the infrared sight, more than likely before Shy. Eileen, who died such an early on in that fight, won't be nearing that Dragon Blade any all time together, so it will be the tide of the tanks for LGD to continue to create space and continue to be a giant nuisance in the backline, as you can see on your screen right here, just doing that.
Jessia just completely uncontested, and the rest of the team following in afterwards on that dive, diving in once again, and nobody does really any damage to him either. And then the supports are able to heal him up completely anyways. And now they do have ult economy advantage, because another super quick wipe for them against this Moss 7 Club.
And with the infrared sights being out for both sides, it's going to be increasingly difficult for Moss 7 Club to inch their way closer to the point, taking a swap for Jinmu over to Brigetta, so that way they can make the dive coming in for LGD Gaming on the defending side less appropriate, but that's going to be a giant Primal Rage coming in the backline, again being a giant nuisance.
Jessia just continuing to deal the damage out, pushing players out of position as well, having to charge back towards his team with Jishin. So the Graviton Surge comes out here. Eileen got caught in it, but it was in the hotel, so nobody could do any damage. And Shy is just going crazy anyways. While that's happening, Charge coming in here to try and get Shy, swinging away, but Yishin's just going to fall. It's all for naught, because the rest of his team was just falling too quickly to everyone else on LGD.
I'm sorry, Ryan, you brought a hammer to a sniper rifle battle, and that's not typically what you see going down in the streets of Kings Row, but it is what definitely just transpired. Eileen will have a defensive Dragon Blade coming in next with Secret's Transcendence, but it was a fantastic dive coming in. Again, Jusia really creating a lot of opportunities, if you will, sniper-tunities at that for Shy, who just pops another infrared sight.
Yishin does get the first elimination, though, here. Mask following it up afterwards, taking out only Wish, who did at least get off the res, so they do get their tank back into this fight. But this looks like this is where finally Moss 7 Club stabilizes offensively and will get this point and start the push with the cards.
I think that's Shy's first death, believe it or not, coming out, and it finally took a fantastic arrow placement coming from Mask to get Widowmaker up and out of that window, and that will be the point unlocking 3 minutes to the point of the escort finally being enabled for Moss 7 Club. Jinmu taking the swap over to Genji again, really pulling out the hero pool and the flexibility for Moss 7 Club, and it's what they need as well. Eileen and Shy have been showing up today, Labasco, to the point that we keep on talking about. They need to, because LGD Gaming, they need to gain a footing here and continue on their Contenders path to pro. That got Eden! That is such a huge heads-up play!
Mask not getting anything out of the Dragon Strike because it was eaten, like you said, by the great diva in Yaosia. So a tough position for the team in Moss 7 Club. They haven't gotten this started in Shy right now. Free raining shots down on as his team pushes forward, as Jessia looking for some extra help with Eileen, who pulls out the Dragon Blade and is able to get good in. Now looking for another one here. Has to back out, though, almost falling to those Tesla cannons. Vanessa getting caught, though, in the meantime, as they are still keeping control of this card right at this choke for LGD.
LGD Gaming just really gaining a nice footing here. It seems to be when Shy's alive that the team can gain almost any sort of ground on any map so far. They just need to continue to president this Widowmaker. Eileen will be working towards another Dragon Blade, meeting eye to eye with Jinmu, but with Mask now taking on the mantle of the Brigitte, it's going to be increasingly difficult for the dive defense to make a footing here as it comes back in. Another Primal Rage comes through.
And Justia finding, with the help of Eileen, a Mercy help caught in the corner. So completely just doing damage, and Shy just continuing to hit shots. Sure, it's a baby diva, but still he's hitting these shots like it's nothing, and his team's still keeping control. What has to happen here for Moss 7 Club Panda?
Moss 7 Club needs to be more proactive towards LGD Gaming's dive. It's coming out way too strong. Jusia and Yaosia just back to back everywhere at the same time. Peel and frontline pressure. That's what dive does best. They have the Brigitte. They just need to stun lock one of these dive targets and gain a footing for the attack. As you can see, the attack from Primal Rage will be coming through for Moss 7 Club.
Well, it's not really happening for them. Shy gets the mech and then gets Vanessa. Afterwards, out comes the Dragon Blade from Jinmu. It's quickly canceled out by Transcendence, though. And now Jinmu just trying to regroup with his team, but that's not going too well because his team is starting to lose the battle here. Mass, though, is able to at least get one, but Eileen gets revenge regardless on Jinmu along the flanks. As they come back towards the rest of the team here, Eileen going to reload as they're just really keeping control of this card so well, Panda. Just waiting here as there's 20 seconds left.
And that's when Jusia died too. They had no main tank for LGD and no footing to come around the bout for Moss 7 Club. Both support ultimates in between Gudon and the Mercy Valkyrie as well, so a lot of sustainability will be coming through. But look at Jusia already setting up another flank with the Winston. They can't be letting this happen.
But Eileen does get taken out quickly here by Mask. Allows for Gudon to have the follow-up here. That's going to force the rest of the team back. Shy getting into a position here after the infrared sight does go out. Almost got a reflect shot in onto somebody. It was Jinmu, but his team at least moving the cart further than they had. There's only one ultimate up on the other side for LGD, and it is that Primal Rage, but there is Transcendence here. Shy looking just for some damage to put out as the team is continuing still to regroup. Jinmu with the Dragon Blade up here now, looking for the flank, quickly goes in, finds himself a Pharah in the sky, gets with the dash, now looking for the Mercy, just can't quite get to it as the Transcendence does come out here. Rez coming back in for Only Wish, so that Dragon Blade ends up doing not much here. Just see it now jumping in with the Primal, continuing to cause havoc, finding the Mercy again, who's caught in a corner. There's no way for her to get out, so the Mercy quickly falls here. Just see it jumping back into the middle of the fray, and now will back away as his team is starting to maybe get the tides to turn here. But as I say that, Vanessa with the self-destructing Gundam as well, dealing some damage out. Yi Shin here using the Earth Shatter as well, and they should be able to get this point here at the 11th hour.
Yeah, Gundam, with all those orbs and the Orb of Destruction specifically, you can see on the little assist bar too, the one that gets the kill in the feed is everywhere, and that is exactly what Moss 7 Club needs to do. Just chase the purple ball and enable everybody else to do what they need to do best. Now you can see the spots for LGD Gaming coming through. Dive isn't exactly what we want to do, so Courier Deathball with the Ryan Zarya is going to be the play here. With Eileen on this Pharah, having the Pharah barrage here in a matter of seconds should be able to come up huge in the slow moving tanks of Moss 7 Club. Comes up but dies.
Died to Vanessa, who flew up into a bait that take themselves out in Eileen. So Eileen quickly out of the fight here, and not quite in a resable spot, I don't think, either. And the res here used by Feng Mian too to get up the Reinhardt. So you have the Reinhardt back into the fight here as they continue to push this card towards that final point for the side of Moss 7 Club. So this was a tough push for them so far, but 30 seconds left. They may have a chance to get this done with maybe a little bit of time on the clock. Transcendence coming out here. Jinmu pops the Dragon Blade as well. Quickly gets 2 down with the help of his team. Now looking for another target. Has to use the Reflect, though, at the end of the blade. But his team, they're not able to get there. Was Eileen, who was trying to avoid the Dragon Blade. So they get the take here, and they do complete it before time ran out, Panda.
Yi Shin has been a man on a mission for Moss 7 Club. He has been flirting with death on so many different occasions, but the healers in between Feng Mian and Gundam have been fantastic thus far, playing around this Reinhardt and really enabling him to stay on the payload and shield the rest of his team. which goes forward to my player for Moss 7 Club to watch out for, Vanessa. Big heads up play on the Diva, trying to eat everything possibly included, but more or less just really snuffing out Eileen on every single turn in the sky and making every zone a no-fly zone.
I think that one of the players that have stood out for me, Panda, as far as if you look at LGD, is Garcia on this Winston tank. He has been doing so well with it, and Feng Mian has, I think, like 3 or maybe even 4 times has been caught by either the Primal Rage or just the Winston by himself, just taking him out in whatever manner. As a mercy, when there's a Winston diving you that hard, what do you have to do to mitigate that and maybe just get a little bit more help from your team? Is that just something in the comms, or what needs to happen to allow your mercy to survive for longer?
Well, as your resident support main, I will definitely tell you that it is a feels bad man, but at the same point in time, you have to be ready to track these ultimates. I mean, the amount of damage that comes through from Winston, although it is, and we make the joke that the Tesla cannon is a quote-unquote tickle cannon, if it goes uncharted, it will scale increasingly amount against squishy targets. You will get a Primal Rage more often than not, and it will continue to create space. Now, when you're trapped inside a small room like that, I'm sorry, my man, there's nothing else you can do to pray, because, I mean, that's a lot of HP that you got to get through, and if everybody's not focusing that big, thick target of the Primal Raging Winston, it's not going down anytime soon, and he will use those scientific fists of fury to take down any squishy target if it's focused properly.
I think what was most impressive for me was Feng Mian getting caught out in the open at times too. That's how good the tank line has been so far, at least for LGD. We'll see how it is here. Getting the first pick is Shy on the Jinmu as the shield was let down for just a second, and it was a second too long as they are now short of player, as now the tanks will jump in. Jasia here trying to clear. They will rotate towards Hotel now to try and at least keep this defense up for a little bit longer. Is Moss 7 Club still waiting for Jinmu to get back? There's the good bash onto Garcia. Garcia able to jump out and away though and stay alive. Eileen still sending these rockets out. Hasn't been able to find anybody, so this is taking a little bit longer than they would like for the side of LGD. And Jinmu almost getting caught again. Had to go back and does finally fall here to Garcia. So Garcia has been hunting down those individual targets that stray a little bit too far so easily, and he's already jumped back to his team and now is diving the back line, quickly getting stunned again, but it hasn't been enough to take him out. He does at least get this time thanks to a charge, but the rest of the team falling here is Shy has still been able to shoot really from positions that allow him to deal damage, and Eileen with the barrage gets 2, and they will finally take it here.
You can go ahead and take Master and Protege down with one ultimate, and that might as well be that. Eileen, fantastic barrage along with Shy's infrared sight. They did have to convincingly use a few ultimates to take the capture point of King's Row, but that's just the nature of this meta right now. I mean, you just got to pretty much use what you got to take what you need, and that will be that. Moss 7 Club, though, Jinmu really coming up short on these dives for the defending team. Really the only person outside of Vanessa that can get to Shy on the Widowmaker for the defending team of Moss 7 Club. LGD Gaming just doing a fantastic job of creating enough peel and backline resilience for Shy to do what you see just right here, getting pocketed by his Mercy, so you can take an SMG battle to a Diva, not something you see every day.
Jinmu uses the blade here, quickly falls. Transcendence canceled out any damage that the blade would have done anyways, and that will allow for the rest of the team to push up for LGD as Jasia jumping in here again onto the cart as he's looking for these last couple of targets before they can get this moving. Using the Earth Shatter though here. Shy though managing to find a pick in the meantime anyways. Shy does fall the good end while that happens, but Yishin just quickly falling down, and it looks like LGD will start this card up once again in a moment.
Getting bopped, getting pushed around like the bully on the playground, and Eileen swapping over to Brigitte is fantastic play. LG Gaming really sustaining themselves yet again as far as a mid to end team fight is concerned. This will be the rally to push that to the next level as well. Jinmu not having an easy time on Genji is about to have an even more difficult time when there's armor initiated. Quick to charge a Dragon Blade, not really big to follow up on many kills.
Safe to say Mask has had a tough game here so far, and it gets even tougher because of Shy. Shy with that headshot there, keeping this fight in favor before it really even starts for his team. Jasia also getting another one, and they continue to snowball as they're just about to get this last point. Yishin, the last one alive, quickly falls to Eileen. as they now look to push through this final, and they have a lot of time, 4:23 left on the clock.
You know, I like this composition coming out for LGD Gaming. It is core dive, but it's kind of got like this Mack truck kind of feel with it. And the grill of this truck is Eileen on the Brigetta, just running over everybody and just making a mockery of the front line in between, with Vanessa swapping over to the Reinhardt and now Yishin swapping over to Zarya. So it's going to be a little bit more of a playground for Eileen to pinball around a single target as they're not diving now. They're just sitting up on the front line. Mask 2 with this Mei, however, is under immense pressure early on.
Jinmu almost falling while using the blade. The Mercy does come and save him, looking to flank around now. Mask, like you said, on the Mei here, hasn't been able to make anything happen with it yet. Shy and Eileen, in that meantime, are making their presence known, and Jasia still just diving in here freely and not really being contested a whole lot. Able to find Mask with the help of the rest of the team. And Mask so close to going down here. Transcendence manages to see him. Jasia still here, just continuing to deal damage out with the Tesla cannon as the rest of his team is support, and they have a lot of time onto the clock here as they take this final point.
Just for funsies and particle effects, it's going to be a self-destructive claim away for the Mei. You saw the moment that the Mei was in play, Labasco, they didn't give any lick of time. I mean, Jusia coming back in there immediate with the Primal Rage, calling out both the wall cooldown and the ice block cooldown all at the same time. Doesn't exactly make it an easy time for any Mei to stall out any escort map. Whew. I mean, going forward off that too, LGD Gaming, they're looking so good on this core dive in between Jusia and Yaoshi's Diva that it just enables Shy and Eileen to almost do whatever it is that they please. Moss 7 Club, however, they will have a next fight available. This is their final attack. They will have a minute because they had 17 seconds as they captured all 3 points. Be walking out here, I can only imagine on what got them this far. It's going to be, again, mirror compositions, core dive for both. Mask versus Shy, Eileen versus Jinmu.
Shy has been winning this battle so heavily, but Shy also has been very uncontested. From Moss 7 Club, is this what you like, or do you think that they should try something else?
I mean, I think this is them trying something else too. I mean, they came out here with a double sniper
True.
last time with Jinmu
True.
on the Hanzo and Mask on the Widowmaker. So I like the idea of enabling Yishin that much further on the dive. With Vanessa, Defense Matrix only at 2 seconds, but when there's a dash reset in there, a nice little shank from your melee and a burst from your alternate fire of Genji, that dive does accentuate that much further.
Well, Mask right now needs to win this battle against Shy. Hasn't had the most success so far. See if that changes, if his team can put a little bit more pressure using that dive to their advantage. Looking right now around, hasn't been able to locate Shy. Shy on the low ground right now. And now it looks like the two Widows finally see each other, and that 1v1 starts to happen across the map. Neither of them able to get too much damage onto the other, but Jasia coming in here, ruining that 1v1, but the rest of his team falling around him as of right now. Jasia getting caught out, and it looks like Moss 7 Club has finally found something that's going to work.
Yeah, Moss 7 Club coming out here very strong. They just need to sit and get on the control meter and start building up that point. If they unlock this payload, Labasco, this could go heavily in a snowball favor, and I think they just got it.
Well, they are about to get it here, have 2 ticks down. We'll see if there's a re-engage coming from LGD. Doesn't look like it. I think they're going to give it up and look to hold at that first choke. So they do have a good start here for Moss 7 Club. The divey dive worked for them. Mask now making the switch here to Brigitte. So that a major change here as they look to try and keep this going as long as possible. And Jinmu, by the way, with that Dragon Blade already up, finds Shy and is going to use it here right now. Dives in, finds him quickly. Now looking for another target. Has Jasia nearby. Just tries to swipe at him and at least forces him back.
Hey, you're not getting a resurrection on the Shy, not where he just died off indeed. And pulling out that one Dragon Blade is huge. They did end up convicting the Mercy Valkyrie ultimate as well, Moss 7 Club did. So that's going to be a big ultimate up and out of the way. LGD Gaming for the recontesting of this point, as it's just wrapping around the bar courtyard or the bar alleyway area. They're going to pop out the Valkyrie ultimate, so the sustainability for LGD Gaming is there. And I can only imagine once this Transcendence is over, the Dragon Blade's coming through, and it does.
It comes, but forced away because of Vanessa's self-destruct. find the Mercy to Shin, able to get secret, so no supports available right now for this team, but Jassia coming in with the Primal Rage, dealing a ton of damage. Jinmu, though, still up here, feeling it out for the side of Moss 7 Club, still very close for either side. Primal Rage now coming out from Yishin to try and keep this going here. Jassia having to back off, though. There's too many numbers on the other side, and his team's so low. They do have the Lucio to come back in here and try and keep this going. Both teams actually having Lucios come out after their supports went down, so neither side in a position to have a Mercy. No Mercy res in play for this push as it's coming towards that point.
Yeah, and Guden came back on Moira. Fastest character to come out of the spawn room back to the payload is actually Moira, and that burst healing that came out on to Yishin gave him the ability to stay on the payload after the Primal Rage, and it's going to give Jinmu the open opportunity to unsheath another Dragon Blade. Point B is going to be captured here, Labasco.
And he's doing a ton of damage. His team getting everything they need. Jinmu going back to spawn 2 and is going to make a change here as well. He's going to... These switches coming from Moss 7 Club and LGD have been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they still have this Coalescence coming out. Guden taking the swap over to Moira just to get back to the point faster. But that is a lot of burst healing coming through of Moira. It's not going to be uncontested unless it gets eaten by the defense matrix of D.Va. But Jinmu coming back here on the Junkrat, already making a mockery of LD Shy, or of Shy rather, who comes back on Tracer.
Jinmu doing a ton, and Mask here has switched to Tracer, also doing it, but Jassia, though, able to get one and a mech as well. Has the use of the sound barrier 2 to stay alive. This looks like it might be where the push finally ends for the side of Moss 7 Club, but even if it does, they've gotten so much further than expectations would have had them go. But as I say that, Mask is doing a ton of work on this Tracer and keeping his team in it.
I absolutely cannot believe how much work is coming out from the flexibility picks of Moss 7 Club. They're really showing their grit here on Kings Row, Labasco. Post-bomb will be in effect, 2 tank ultimates, self-destruct, and the Primal Rage, in fact, missing wildly what the post-bomb mask is, but it's still the pressure never in the end. Shy coming up big with his, however.
Yeah, Shy not missing on his. Jinmu needs to get in position, has the player that could be great equalizer here. Jassia out in front, looking for somebody on the point. He can't get anybody, but it forces them to back up and forces them into the self-destruct. Actually, getting one there was Vanessa, it looks like, with the mech recall in Shy. Either way, Jassia using the Primal Rage to try and keep this one alive for his team, who's now in a spot that they never thought they'd see themselves in on this map.
And they're continuing to pull pressure on the front line. Yishin coming back, giving up the main tank, coming back on Doomfist is another body on the point. Mask has been uncontested, going back and forth again. Here comes Yishin, creating so much more backline pressure. They just got this, Labasco. Jinmu on this on the trap kill for Shy, unable to run a mockery on the point itself, with starting on 1 minute, able to go the distance on all 3 control meters, 6 points on the board here. And that is something you don't see every day.
You definitely don't. I'm sure that the desk thought that there wasn't going to be a lot to talk about because LGD looked like they were rolling so hard. But Moss 7 Club here, I mean, just the turnaround that we've seen. What do they have to do here on defense now? It looks like they're going to go with the Widow and the Junk. Do you like what you're seeing from them so far?
It's going to be an anti-dive composition coming out here for the side of Moss 7 Club, and that is part of the download that I was commenting on earlier here, Labasco. Reading the enemy team like a book. You know LGD Gaming, you know Jassia has been making a running on Winston thus far, especially on this map. We have been talking about him almost like a broken record, but he has been putting in the work to tell the tale. Going forward on the anti-dive composition, if they are going to be poking out in an unfavored spot, can be spotted out early for the attacking team that can take a swap and go into the spawn room and come back on a composition to counter it all full. But I like how they're already playing around with the heavy goats composition. But Shy and Eileen, they've been really showing up here on the CPS thus far on the series, not so much in previous minutes on this map in particular. Will be coming out here again on core dive. Mercy Zenyatta, Genji Widowmaker. But Jinmu sticking around on the Junkrat is going to be very difficult for Jassia to get back in here and get the dives going and rolling.
Mask losing that battle once again, was standing still for a little too long. Does manage to get a res to come out here. The Junkrat coming on to Shy to apply the pressure. Mask does manage to get Garcia in that time, but Secret able to take out Jinmu, so they're still winning the battles that they need to maybe get this take here. Just in front, dealing as much damage as possible as Yaosia, and they will get this take here, already up to 2 ticks.
They can capture the point. They have 3 minutes and 20 seconds here as they're currently getting that last and final tick, but they still have so far to go, Labasco. I mean, you don't get any more time once it captures points. They will have a time bank to play around, so if they lose one team fight or two convincingly, they can come back and recontest the payload once more. Mask swapping over to the Brigitte to make this anti-dive composition stick that much more. Just needs something to stun lock that Winston of Juicia in the backline more often than not, so that way he can't gain a Primal Rage every other minute and continue to rip out your weeds in the backline.
And of course, you still have the traps from Jinmu that you have to be careful with, too, if you are Juicia. Eileen on the Genji ear blade looks for a target. Transcendence will come out, though, and keep everybody alive instead, so it's going to stall out the blade. And Yi Xin and Jinmu doing damage in the meantime, and that's just child's play there for Jinmu. Uses the mine and then just casually throws another pipe bomb there to get that quick elimination.
Child's play with explosives? I hope not. But the Moss 7 Club setting up this defense, this is what I was talking about. LGD Gaming, they're going to have to come back from the proverbial spawn room with 2 minutes now, but this is going to be dire straits for them. They still have to get through a capture point and to the third to force over another attack phase. With the swaps coming through, Eileen onto the Pharah is a fantastic pick, all things considering. It's only Yi Xin who can directly deal with the Pharah in the sky as Jinmu calls out the Riptire. It's channeled.
Ends up getting, I think, taken out there, but the Riptire will at least get rid of the mech in the meantime. So that's kind of a trade that maybe you're happy with. Taking Eileen on this Pharah has to go away. Now coming back in to re-engage, puts a great shot on, but can't find the one that's going to finally kill Goodan. Gets a little bit of help from Shy, though, so they will get this cart continuing to push forward. 1:24 left to go here in this one. The Mercy quickly falling, and LGD stabilizing through this streets phase, but there is going to be another contest coming from Moss 7 right before they get to that checkpoint.
Yeah, Secret dying off before the team fight was finalized, held on to the Transcendence, so that's still really good, all things considering. Jinmu swapping over to the Genji won't have a Dragon Blade needed for the Transcendence anytime soon, but LGD Gaming, as they're rounding about near this control point, Moss 7 Club has to get here soon if they want to stop this contest right here. They only have a few more team fights to get through, but it's Juicia in the backline already with the Primal Rage in tow.
Eileen quickly taking out the Bongo, so not much damage going to be dealt out because of it, and Eileen able to get back away. Has the barrage here, trying to deal with Genji that's on the back line. Jinmu trying to escape, manages to just get out here. So right now, the barrage comes out, gets one, and then with a little bit of help, finds a couple of others. Goodan gonna kind of just be stuck here. Will almost fall, and Goodan able to get him. So even though his team gives up the point, he's able to at least stall out a little bit of the fight that could have been just a massive quick push from them.
Yeah. Resurrection will come through from Only Wish. So, Juicia back into the team fight. Full 6 of LGD Gaming as they are about to be in overtime. So, this is going to be do or die situations, and die you will, Shy.
Shy getting taken out there, had a 800-pound in Vanessa as well in there. Jinmu unsheathing the blade, but Eileen rocket shot gets him out before he can do anything with it, and now the Primal Rage from Garcia as well. They just continue to wreck house as they now push on towards that final point.
Yeah, I mean, in the words of Juicia, in the eyes of Juicia, he says, okay, well, you're going to kill my DPS. I'm going to take it into my own Primal Raging Winston hands, and that is exactly that. It's been the Juicia story thus far for LGD Gaming as we're nearing about 2 minutes. We're into overtime spawns. Can anybody get there? They can't.
The May never got there. Eileen took him out, and Jinmu got taken out as well by the same rocket. So we go into a 6-6 tie. Both teams were in overtime, so now they both get a minute here to do it again.
My heart can't take this, Labasco. I can't tell you the last time I saw Kings Row even go to the extra inning phase, more or less a second set of extra innings. This is actually ridiculous here. Going out of their way from Moss 7 Club, they have been transitioning into a multitude of compositions off of the anti-dive with Jinmu taking the flex pick over to Jamerson, Junkrat, Genji, everything that the team needs. Mask as well, flexing with the Brigitte and the Widowmaker pick as well. Also saw some Tracers. So the team compositions are there, but as they're going to take this last point, they're going to come out with what gave them that amazing 1 minute push before, and that's going to be the core dive, Genji, and the Widowmaker. Vanessa has been huge. I definitely wanted to keep in mind, though, he is not flashy in the kill feed. He has been everywhere, included on the peel with the defense matrix and on the front line as well for Moss 7 Club to go that much further. LGD Gaming, however, Eileen this time on Junkrat with Jusia on the Orisa. First time for the flex on this one outside of Reinhardt, but they're going to be keeping on Diva as well.
Well, this worked so well for them. The last attack that they did, we'll see what they end up being able to do on their attack. A minute onto the clock as they look to try and get themselves a win here on Kings Row and at least go even into the half. Boss 7 Club looking for where they want to attack. Oh, the mine goes off of Shy here, quickly places another one out as it looks like there's a loss of Yaoshia. So Vanessa getting taken out here quickly. They might have to get back together. Eileen here quickly, though, dashed into and taken out, but Shy finds Mask in the meantime.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge pick and deal. Oh, that's going to just be big altogether. Shy really showing up for this defending team, being power boosted here by Only Wish is exactly what you need. 13 seconds now on the board, Labasco. Moss 7 Club taking back out for the dive. They need to get on the point, and they need to do it now.
Jinmu coming around, the rest of his team as well, as they need to get a touch here in a second. Vanessa on the point to make sure they get that. Diving in onto Yashia, dropping in is Jasia onto the point, pulling somebody forward with that Orisa shield in front. And they're trying to give themselves the best chance possible to get this one. Shy coming down from the high ground, forces out the Transcendence here. We'll see if that ends up helping or hindering his team because they're still in a tough spot. Eileen with a big triple kill with the tire, though. That should be the one that seals it here as they won't even get to a tick.
Not even a tick accumulated. Eileen flexing strong. 3K rip tire, baby. Unable to debunk the bunker of Orisa compositions. I mean, that's what makes anti-dive so strong, right? I mean, when you try to come out there on dive, I mean, you're running into an anti-dive composition. So in theory, it really shouldn't work. And LGD Gaming showing us just why. Behind Jusia's Orisa, I love the flexibility coming out from Jusia altogether. It's been making a standing on this Winston thus far. But to come out with that strong of a defense on Orisa, that's truly saying something. So the win condition is set. The stakes have been laid down on the grill, my man, and we are cooking them to a fine point. LGT Gaming with 1 minute in the bank. They just need to capture one tick on the capture point for Kings Row, and they'll walk away up in this series. Moss 7 Club, however, they're really looking forward to see if they can push it to a draw on this anti-dive composition. They look really good coming out of it on the gate on previous defense. With Jinmu on the Junkrat, Eileen saying, I can do it just as well, however.
The biggest question for me, well, Eileen showing Brigitte here for a second. I don't know if they'll stay with that. Maybe. Is Shy has won this battle against Mask so handily, and every time that they've been starting on offense, this is when they've looked best, Panda.
This is definitely where they're going to continue to look strong. Jusia, however, swapping over to Reinhardt. Look at this crazy flank they're taking. They're actually going to go on this entirety of a GOAT, and this is going to be very difficult to run through because Jinmu already on the Junkrat. They already have the counter pick. That's a lot of damage to bulldoze through, but they're going to try anyway.
Pushing forward, getting a lot of charges. Shy breaking through that first barrier, but the Orisa shield right back down onto the ground. Eileen looking for somebody already up to 100 is Shy, dealing a ton of damage and finds himself Goodhand, who is just all by himself, and that might be the pick that'll seal the deal here as the rest of the team goes in on the rest. They should have this in a matter of seconds, and they do, and they will win this map and go up to nothing.
Yeah, and almost in convincing fashion. I mean, if you blinked, you might have missed it there, but that's what GOATs do so well. Secret with the Mora, with the to come out with the burst healing, so on, and the speed as well. Really running amok around the pure grit and beef of a GOATs composition, taking it by storm, one tick, and going up in the series 2-0.
It was a super intense fight that we ended up seeing there from LGD versus Moss 7. I mean, looking as we're getting ready to throw it back to the caster or the desk in just a second. Moss 7 Club, do they have what it takes, Panda, here to try and get this even in the second half? And what do they need to do to make it happen?
Again, going forward on previous points, I think Moss 7 Club, they need to stick to their strengths, right? I mean, they do have a very strong tank line along with a very core DPS as well. They just need to realize when the micro fights are not in their favor to take it to the macro level. And we saw a little lick of that coming out of Kings Row as well. But I'm very interested to see how our analysts as well are going to take into the fact that their predictions are getting a little skewed.
It's definitely something that's been fun so far. So Ham, Vowels, Kenobi, take it away.
Thank you, Panda. Thank you, Labosco. And indeed, guys, I mean, this is my first foray back into the Chinese region in a while. And I was like, both analysts going Moss 7 Club 3-1. I was in that basket as well. But JK, welcome to China, guys, where the strats are made up. And honestly, the narrative points don't matter because looking at kind of what we were putting on paper from last week, we thought, Kenobi, that the tank line from Moss 7 Club could have been their strength, whereas from LGD, it was going to be the Eileen and Shy show, but it was kind of an absolute flip-flop. Now, we're going to harken back to Oasis first, but it looked like an entirely different Moss 7 Club team. What would you chalk that up to?
I think Moss 7 in the start of those types of map, it seems like they got into their head just a little bit. It was interesting to see how we've known this team for kind of playing these like off meta comps, but this time they decided to play meta against LGD. And if playing meta isn't really their strength, right? As we've seen so far, is like when they bring out these like interesting comps, the solo Roadhog guys I harken back to on Volskaya, when they do something different and interesting, that's really when they shine. When they're trying to play meta against a team that's as coordinated and as well-oiled of a machine that is LGD, you have to really just start winning that macro game, and that macro game just was not in their favor. And Li Jiang was pretty convincingly for the side of LGD.
Certainly the scoreline would bear that out, Kenobi. It was a 2-0. Now, Vowels, was that Moss 7 Club kind of losing Li Jiang, or what would you attribute to LGD's win? A very dominant win as well on control.
I think a large part of it comes down to Eileen had a dominant performance on the Farah, and Moss 7 Club couldn't decide what they wanted to retaliate with. They committed really hard to not just one, but several variations of a 3-3 comp on the first point of Li Jiang, neither of which came to fruition. Then moving on to Gardens, they mixed it up a bit. I believe they went for the dive, and that didn't really work either. Mask was actually winning the winner duel. That maybe one upside for Moss 7 Club on Lijiang Tower, but outside of that, they just got completely outclassed.
Yeah, and they actually had Jimmu on the Tracer as well, who seems to be much more of a projectile player. So Kenobi, you do seem to be right that they're mind gaming themselves a little bit, seeming like they're like, okay, well, we'll run Widow Tracer into this, potentially not really playing to their strengths. Guys, we gotta break down that Kings Row match, and what a lot to break down, right?
What even was this map?
7-6. Okay, right off the bat, the numbers are already startling, but every single round, it looked like neither of the sides were really settled down. They were constantly shifting. It was like a lava lamp of team composition. So Kenobi, we'll start with the very first round. That's where LGD looked the most stable. And what do you think that was due to?
I think LGD, the thing, we talked about it at the beginning of, what are these teams, who are the stars kind of these teams? And I think for LGD, it was Gushu. It was the Gushu show. Like from the get, the amount of pressure that Gushu was putting onto Gudan, the Zenyatta player, Gudan wasn't allowed to play the game at that first point, on that first part of Kings Row. I mean, because Gushu was just creating so much pressure, was left a lot of space open for Shy to be that kind of carry widow that we saw a little bit coming out from him. And the way that he was moving with Eileen as well, Eileen and Gushu seemed to have this very good connection between the two. Whenever Gushu was diving onto the Zenyatta in the backline, Eileen was right there to get that dash reset and dash through and get that kill secure. So when you're taking that Zenyatta player out of the game so much, you leave that Mercy solo heal, and they're also camping the reses as this aggressive style. So I really like what Gushu brought in that first part of King.
Certainly the synergy between the Winston and a Genji when you are running that defensive dive can't be understated. Got that little red string connecting their fingers. Gucio is like, come on, Eileen. And they'll pa, and they just get rid of that Zenyatta. But then moving on into the next round, Vowels, we saw Moss 7 Club finally open their eyes, start playing with both hands. Who was getting them those incredibly clutch wins?
I mean, we have to talk about Mask's performance on Tracer. Absolutely huge. Moved onto it just to stall as they were moving through third point, and then suddenly gets, a 3K, 4K out of nowhere. Really not expected, but I feel like it has been Mask stepping up a lot of the time to secure kills for Moss 7 Club. Jinmu's been doing good work diving into the backline alone, but I feel like once the two DPS players got a little bit more breathing room, they were able to find some picks. Maybe the over-aggressive, there's a good reaction, I think, to the over-aggressiveness, actually, that we're seeing from LGD. Guchu and Eileen, are playing really aggressively, diving in the backline, putting a lot of pressure on Gudan, and it's working. And it's a nice adjustment in the playstyle from Jinmu in particular to also get in the backline, just one Genji, one Junkrat versus the world, but he's not getting punished because the tanks and DPS are so overly committed to their own dive.
It has certainly seemed to be a tale of who can counter dive harder between these two teams. In the end, the Moss 7 Club kind of pulling a final, round 5 out of their sphincter of choice, we'll say, due to kind of the ability of this team to thrive in that chaos, as Kenobi so beautifully put it. But regardless of their performance on Kings Row, Moss 7 Club still find themselves down 0-2 in the first half. Kenobi, how do they bring this back in map 3?
So it's interesting, as you mentioned, how I said that it seems like whenever the game devolves into this kind of like chaotic mess, this is when Moss 7 is the most comfortable, right? Because whenever
you see it on the Doomfist, right?
yeah, just everything like Jinmu just going into the backline, trying to solo kill Widow with Junkrat, just whatever, just everything that they're trying to do is just to try and make sure that LGD is not as comfortable as they'd like. And when they were doing that, LGD looked slightly vulnerable. We saw a few times where Mask just in the backline, darting everywhere, getting huge picks on that Tracer. So when it's this kind of more of a chaotic composition coming out from Moss 7, I think they're much better than when they try to play meta versus meta, just Ryan, Zarya, and whatever, more of the slow moving comps. No, you need to get in there and just get into the backline, disrupt what LGD is trying to do.
Would you agree with that assessment, Vowels, that we just need to see the crazy Moss 7 Club of old?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like over the course of the first two maps, Moss 7 Club kind of got in their own head. They've seen that LGD Gaming, well, maybe they've had a rough start to the season, are still a fearsome opponent. They tried to play things a little bit more traditional, a little more meta, to maybe they don't want to risk throwing up too much crazy stuff against a tough opponent. Get rid of that mindset. We know what you can do, Moss 7 Club. Come up with something mind-blowing to completely take us off guard, take LGD Gaming off guard like we were talking in the pre-game. I think that's the key to success here for Moss 7 Club. Get out their own head, play the game they know how to play, and none of us know what to expect.
Exactly. It's been a crazy ride so far. Maybe not the May though. We're gonna potentially shelve
Put
the
that
May.
one. Put that in the vault. Put that back in the vault. Doesn't need to be there.
Send her a free trip back to Eco Point. That's a little too mean. But certainly we have seen some crazy strats already in the first two games of LGD versus Moss 7 Club, and we got more coming your way right after this break. Will Moss 7 Club show up even more wild than we've seen them in the past? Really give it to LGD, or potentially, one of our top teams in the Chinese region, take their last final map they need to secure this series and potentially get their playoff chances set in stone. Don't go anywhere, folks. We got more great Chinese contenders right after this short break.
And we welcome you back here as LGD Gaming Moss 7 Club About to be get going here in just a second. Once again, I'm Labosco, Pan alongside of me here for Contenders China, brought to you by Broadcast.gg, as we are going to Volskaya Industries, Panda.
Yeah, Volskaya Industries, definitely a very favorable assault map to the style of both these teams, who really enjoy good tank play. We saw a lot of that coming out on the hybrid map of Kings Row as well. Going forward for Assault, however, Moss 7 Club, they actually are the one of the very few teams in Chinese Contenders that have a draw. Was on Anubis, but they did take a victory on Volskaya previously. While LGD, they currently have 2 wins on Anubis. So this will be their first time hanging out on the Icy Lakes of Volskaya Industries. Interested to see how they play it out as Moss 7 Club to have a composition to play around. It's going to be a soloish tank with Yishin and Vanessa on the Brigitte. So a 1.5 tank combination, if you will, to really set up Mask on the high ground to land these snipes.
We'll see if Mask can do that, because Mask so far has been having a little bit of struggles, at least on the Widow here. But right now, Shy is the one winning the Widow battle, and then finds another one in Jinmu, as this is going to be a really tough try and take this one here for the side of Moss 7 Club. They're going to have to, oh my goodness, the shot on to Vanessa.
That was just ridiculous. Shy has been absolutely wrecking it today. LGD Gaming really finding their strides behind their hit scan player of Shy. Widowmaker is his true hero of choice. Moss 7 Club, no swaps coming around, and you have to wonder why they're not going on a core dive, but really sticking to this 1.5-ish tank combination in between the Diva and Brigitte. It's very interesting to always see how they really play around all these wonky compositions, but it really comes down to a high burst and pick potential as Mask introduces us to that. Only Wish, however, still having 1 resurrection in the pocket, able to bring back Eileen through that.
We'll see if Mask can turn this duel around. Hasn't been going that way so far, and Jasia getting the kills needed there on the point, as Eileen able to take one out here. It was weird transition that they just did off of what was happening with Mask, who finally ended up taking out Shy, but the rest of his team was falling on the point.
Yeah, falling on the point indeed. The rotations coming through, and that's one of the best parts about running a counter dive defense such as LGD Gaming. Jusia very comfortable on the Winston, even on defense, setting up Eileen for this Dragon Blade, unsheathing it, but it's already met by a coupling of support ultimates and a shield bash stun from Vanessa.
Also, the rally out as well to help keep the team up through any swipes that could come from the blade. Jinmu on this Tracer, trying to find the Genji here, has the Winston coming from behind, and Jasia deals the damage out, goes away, and it looks like now the Tyke will finally come in for Moss 7 Club, trying to chase down Jasia, who's trying to get away. Shy back into this fight, and takes out Mask again, and now they're gonna have a chance to turn it around.
And Secret demeching Alpha Yishin, Jusia on the re-entry as well, claiming the pilot of the Diva mech. Shy popping the infrared sight, being able to see through walls. They just need to get away on this point and flatten Jusia with the re-entry. They're looking so good here, Labosco. Eileen flexing over to the Tracer to get back to the point faster. Easier cleanup, and it enables Shy to land body shots for a Eileen to land half a clip instead of a full clip, to completely disintegrate any squishy targets coming on the board. Jinmu now with the Tracer swap as well to try to counteract against Eileen, but they're still sticking on this 1.5 tanks. It's hard to create space, but they just need 1 more tick to unlock to get to capture point B.
And it looks like they're going to dive Shy here with Vanessa, but Vanessa not able to take him out. Eileen, in the meantime, masks, so the pressure from the Widowmaker for the offensive team in Moss 7 Club already gone. LGD sitting in another good spot. Vanessa does manage to get only Wish, so no mercy in this fight here. His team, though, all they got to do is hold on for 20 more seconds if they can get these last few eliminations, but they're getting the picks that they need. Yi Shin with 1 there, and now hunting down the Winston as well, and they will get that last 33%, and now they'll be able to push on to point B.
Vanessa went absolutely mental there. I mean, pulling out the rally and then getting 2.5, including the mech, the pilot Diva as well. Might as well have been 3 because it was always in convincing fashion. Shades of Kings Row here. Labosco in overtime. They will capture the point and try to set up a snowball effect onto capture point B. Shy with another infrared sight coming in here enables Eileen to find Vanessa early.
Eileen looking for another target, ends up helping take out the mech of Yixin. So defensively, they're able to stabilize. They stop the snowball from happening, and Mask will make the switch here to the Hanzo for this point B attack.
Yeah, and going forward into this as well, to your point, Hanzo coming in here, Jinmu on Tracer. I would have thought that it would have been the opposite picks here, but Jinmu, especially being a projectile DPS specialist, probably, I guess he's been really making a standing on this Tracer, trying to set up a flank around the far left side of the attackers. But the pulse bomb in tow should open up the point nicely. If he finds a sticky, just misses it.
Completely missed, and now he's got to get back onto the back line here and try and deal the damage out to at least get one of the supports, and he's not able to get any. He does force Primal Rage, though, from Jacia, who now finds the Lucio, trying to chase him off the map and just staying alive here as long as possible was the Lucio and Fugmi, and finally pushed off by Jacia.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge Primal Rage show. I mean, Jusia needing to go and continuing to be huge for his team. Primal Rages seem to be the one and definite choice. One tick will be accrued here almost for Moss 7 Club, but Secret has something else to say about it.
Onto the Doomfist now is Mask too, so there's another change. So no longer going with the Hanzo, and there's two ultimates on the side of LGD. They have Secret along with Only Wish, and it looks like Jinmu's going to make a swap here as well, and we'll go to the Genji. And now they'll go back, Mask will go back to the Hanzo. So Genji, Hanzo, the Shimada Bros, what will be used here by the Moss 7 Club.
Super Shimada Brother, and that's going to still be a 1.5 tank core for Moss 7 Club, and Shy stuffing out the light shielding effect, finding Gudon early and getting the resurrection out of the way before Moss 7 Club even gets to the point.
Jinmu able to get Eileen though here, so a very good early pick to get some pressure off of the front line. Vanessa moving forward. There's Mask now getting in position on this Hanzo to deal out the damage. Has to avoid the self-destruct thrown into the air. Able to do that with no problem. Transcendence and Valkyrie used here by the defense, so they have both those defensive alts gone. As forcing somebody into a corner was Yaosia. Mask using the Dragon Strike doesn't get anything for it, but at least does get some zoning to happen with it. Mask, though, meeting by Jacia in that little corner, is taken out, and then Jacia with a good punch there takes out Gudon.
Primal Punch, a little bit too strong for the Omnic to deal with. Gudon going out of in style. That's going to be huge. Nevertheless, Jusia, these Primal Rages, Labasco, are continuing to be a very, very strong standing for LGD Gaming, whether it's attack or defense. I'll be able to have a Dragon Blade walking in here from Jinmu, Moss 7 Club with a couple of support ultimates as soon as they get to the point. If they do make it a 6, they've been struggling to do it thus far. Just needs to create a little bit more space so Jinmu can come in here with this Dragon Blade before Eileen creates armor for literally everybody and everybody.
The one thing that they do and know at the very least is that they don't have to worry about the defensive. Secret quickly building that up. Yixin, though, able to get Jacia out of the picture. Now moving forward with that blade and using it is Jinmu. Dives onto the back line, finds Shy. So Shy out of the picture, looking for the Mercy, who's able to use the Valkyrie. Just got it back in time to stay alive. Vanessa, though, in here, continuing to use, and now uses a rally themselves onto the point. This might be their chance here in overtime as it finally starts.
And as overtime starts to be fully in effect here, we're going to be able to accrue 1 tick. So Moss 7 Club really getting a nice strong and settling here as Jinmu just getting the dash resets, trying to create more. But oh yeah, she double kill with a big self-destruct to take out both supports. Surely will spell the end here, and LGD Gaming will hold strong, only giving away 59.8% to point B. So the win condition set strong to take the series. They just have to get through point A first.
59.8%, not a lot. LGD Gaming, from what you've seen, how difficult do you think this will be for them to take off of Moss 7 Club? Moss 7 Club seems to be struggling, especially from what we want, from what we've seen before from LGD.
For LGD Gaming, I mean, this has been something that they've been running all series long here, Labasco. Jusia, Winston, Yaoshi, Diva, make them stop. The dive is coming through so strong. I mean, you can see Brigitte coming out, maybe even pull out a Rhine, pull out anything you need to stun lock and hold down the Winston to focus him down. If you can get down that 1,000 HP, that is so much ult charge for your DPS and your Zenyatta to cycle through more Transcendences, Dragon Blades, Dragon Strikes, whatever it may be. You just need to get Jusia out of your backline. He is cycling through his Primal Rages almost every other team fight at this point.
And to go back to another thing that we were talking about with ultimates, you look at Moss 7 Club, Jinmu had that Dragon Blade, and we were talking about how, oh, it's a great time to have Dragon Blade because you know that both the defensive ults are out. They build up to those defensive ults because they held on to their ultimates for so long. I mean, is that just communication needs to be a little better, or do they just need to be a little quicker on the trigger with what they're doing?
Quicker on the trigger, for sure, and focus fire. I think it all falls under the same boat. At the end of the day, is that when you hesitate in a game like Overwatch, it's such a fast-paced game that 5 seconds almost feels like a minute in a team fight. That when you hesitate too long to worry about who the focus needs to be on, is when you start losing your squishy targets, such as a prime main healer in your Mercy. So with Moss 7 Club coming back to the proverbial drawing board on what they can do better, no hesitation, just pick a target, let Jinmu get the dash reset, and go on to the next one. Vanessa and Yishin pulling out another weird tank combination between Roadhog and D.Va. No shield on the front line, and Eileen with a nasty deflect kill is going to pull off mass space early.
And that's the big thing that'll allow their tanks to go in, so no hesitation coming from the side of LGD Gaming. Shy looking now for Jinmu, who is trying to get away. Yishin, in the meantime, though, is able to take out his counterpart, so there's still some life there on this point for Moss 7 Club. Almost getting taken out was Jusia, but not quite able to do so. So the defense, you know, sort of holding on, but Secret and Shy just doing what they need along with Eileen to get this one flipped eventually, as now they just have a Roadhog and Mask, who's just sort of on the point and trying to hold as long as possible.
Trying to hold off and hold strong. Will be only wish that will fall down, so it's going to be hard to sustain a another push if the defending team decides to try to set one up, but not when you get dashed all the way through. I'm dead. That's not a cooldown that Zenyatta has. I believe you're lying to me there, Killfeed. And it never in the end, yeah. Yeah, it was very weird and interesting all at the same time. I'm very perplexed, and I have to go pick up a dustpan to pick up my jaw that just shattered on the floor. I didn't know that not only did Zenyatta teach Genji almost everything he knows, but he himself actually has a Swift Strike.
Well, that's okay, because right now pushing in is LGD Gaming as they're looking to try and get this one done and win their third map and this game completely, as they want to seal themselves as one of the top teams. Eileen using the Dragon Blade in here, goes onto the back line, finds Gadan, looking for another. His team already doing the work to get one tick, almost just have to get rid of the Roadhog in Vanessa. They do so. Shy looking for those shots on the McCree to get the last one. Doesn't matter because they get this win here, and LGD Gaming will win this 3-0. But of course, we still have one more map. They can try and make it a 4-0.
I think by the time that Eileen came through, unsheathing the Dragon Blade and not only finding both supports, but Mask, who swapped over to the Mei early on before he'd even set down a wall or get in the ice block himself, it was already said and done. I mean, once you sustain more than 3 people on the point before overtime, the respawns will tick down or will come in shorter. Very unfortunate to see that Moss 7 Club will lose the series. LGD Gaming looking strong, and they needed to do so, holding up and going up 3-0.
And this is one, too, that's a tough loss for the side of Moss 7 Club. As far as their playoff hopes go, this is a big thing to dash them to, Panda. So they've really got to at least try and get the win here on this final map to at least give themselves some sort of a chance.
Yeah, definitely can agree to that. With the standings and where we are currently at, however, it's going to be difficult to come back from that deficit. Never in the end, though, Labasco. However, with these teams both being at 1-1, going forward off of this, it's LGD Gaming who's going to be able to set themselves comfortably in the next couple series of games. Moss 7 Club, they definitely want to win this next map, to your point, so that way they can have a little bit more of a footing underneath them going into the next few weeks.
Well, the good thing is they get a little bit of a break here before they go into that final map, and we're going to take a break as well. When we come back, we will have map 4 here on Broadcast.gg.
deny. I wanna take you sky. Take you sky. Review me right and review me. Just like a review me right and review me. Got your hands on me. Every time we touch, there's a sense of urgency. Yeah, you wind me up. Oh, baby, I know I'm falling deep. I never get enough cause we fit so perfectly. I'm not afraid of love. Every night I need you more. Days go longer now without you than before. Just thinking about you gets me high. 'Cause you know how to leave me so electrified. When you take me down, when you take me down. You're never off my mind. I'm living in the dark till you come and give me light. You know you break the storms. Oh, I'm feeling undefined. I've never been strong, so I fall for the bad guys. I'm not going back anymore. Oh, every night I need you more. Days go longer now without you than before. Just thinking about you gets me high. 'Cause you know how to leave me so electrified. When you take me down, when you take me down. When you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down. When you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down. Every night I need you more. Days going longer now, they're longer than before. Thinking about you gets me high. 'Cause you know how to leave me so
We are so glad that you are back with us here on Broadcast.gg. I'm Labasco, joined by the one and only Panda, as we are getting ready here for map 4, which we'll find out what that is in just a second. But while we have a little bit of time here, Panda, LGD Gaming looking really good. They've already won this game. They've won 3-0, and it's been because they've rode the backs of their tanks. Jasia is one of them, the other one, Yaosia. And of course, can't forget about Secret and Only Wish doing a ton of work, creating a lot of space for their DPS to work.
Secret has been amazing. I mean, when you take a look at Zenyatta's, you typically look at a few different factors, right? You want that Discord orb to be dressed wonderfully like a beautiful ranch dressing, and you want it to be dressed comfortably on a nice salad of either a squishy target for the Winston to come in and squash all to oblivion, or for the Diva to accentuate that much further. That's one of the beautiful parts about these two tanks that are coming in here, to your point, Labasco, creating so much space and opening up the floor for the entirety of this team.
We illustrated a little bit earlier too that Jasia just jumping in onto these back lines and just really just doing whatever he wants. Kings Row is a map, and especially where we saw that at times for them offensively. And I think on this last map too, Volskaya, it was kind of just a complete team effort. I mean, we know that Shy and Eileen are going to be the ones getting the majority of the kills out of these things, but it's because of what Jasia can do with that Tesla cannon. His positioning always seems to be so great.
Whether he's hanging out on the flanks, whether he's hanging out in a small room just waiting for the dive. I mean, that's, you know what it reminds me of is Miro, believe it or not. And when Miro first came out on this anti-dive Winston, or this counter dive Winston, I remember it coming out on maps such as Eichenwald, where he was hanging out on such a weird positioning base that when you would walk in there as the attacking team, wouldn't really think, oh, where's the Winston? Where's their main tank at? I don't see where they're coming from, so on and so forth. But he just comes up out of nowhere, sometimes even just walking into your backline, saving his jump cooldown to get back to his backline for the peel. That is just, there's a lot of thought process that goes through with that as well, not to mention the cycling of the melees in between the Tesla cannon as well, turning it into a quite little kill cannon.
One of the other things too, Panda, Shy just completely dominating the Widow battle for Mask. Do you like that Mask has continued to try and take this battle when there's a lot more pressure that's coming on to Mask, or would you have liked to have seen him maybe switch off of it? I mean, we saw him do some work on Tracer during King's Row, but that's maybe not the best pick, especially with how prevalent Brigitte is right now in the meta.
Right, and it's the moment when you see both Tracer and Genji coming out from Moss 7 Club that Eileen will flex over to the Brigitte as well, so it will get snuffed immediately. Shy winning the majority of the 1v1s versus Mask. I think that Mask needs to stop taking those 1v1s, stop taking the micro fights, push yourself into the macro fight, come back as a different composition, and dive the Widow together. Wait for the dive to come through on the attacking team of LGD, and then counter dive them into the Widowmaker, get out that the grappling hook cooldown, and then continue to pressure her as well. That's one of the things that you can do in between Winston Diva, and we know that Jinmu is a fantastic Genji as well, and he can be helpful in that situation too. But to your point, Labasco, Brigitte, very strong shield maiden with that shield bash to stop any dive to come through. They just need to coordinate around it.
With our final map type that we're going into as well, I mean, is Brigitte going to be of a thing that we're going to see? I mean, we know it's a payload map regardless. Depending on which payload map, I mean, there's usually a lot more space to be worked with. So Brigitte maybe isn't seen as much. Not that she's not completely not a possibility to be seen, but is there more room to maybe be a little more dive heavy and using those more mobile heroes that want to avoid the Brigitte?
Well, if it was going to be the map that I was assuming it was going to be, both these teams only showcasing Rialto thus far, I'm not so sure Brigitte is going to be played around until we get to either the third and final point, if not at all here at Labasco. We're headed over to Watchpoint Gibraltar, where high ground is reigning supreme. And I think more dive-eccentric teams will find this favorable, and that will probably end up being in favor for LGD Gaming, but it's going to be a thonker for the side of Moss 7 Club, because they need to decide whether or not they're going to go forward with that macro play, full dive with the Widow and Genji, and try to get out the Widowmaker together as a team, or are they going to stick tried and true on that micro battle and try to take the 1v1s with the Widowmaker?
And I think we know that Shy, well, I don't think you're going to see any less of him on Widowmaker, and it looks to be the case here as well. I mean, his Widowmaker, regardless of how the space is being created, he's hitting the shots that need to be hit because of the space that his team is giving him.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just what Overwatch is truly all about, is that when they are working so well in tangent with each other, that they are able to do much more. Payload maps get completed faster, assault maps get completed even quicker, snowballs get bound down even harder. Going forward, however, it's going to be Eileen flexing stronger, coming out of the gates with the McCree this time. Yao Ji and Jusia on the ball and chain bacon crease combo, trying to look for something cheeky at the beginning. They're just going to swap off fantastic stuff, as they can see that it's going to be Moss 7 Club on a defensive dive, trying to set up Jinmu on the Genji. Mask is trying to take this 1v1 versus Shy again, needs to be careful and use these buildings to his advantage.
Well, the cart already coming around that first corner, so the team's setting up defensively to have that high ground advantage when the cart gets to that low area in between in that valley, as Eileen coming over the top, looking to just throw some shuriken out and maybe put a little bit of pressure on here in just a second once they get their dive coordinated. But right now they got to deal with the dive coming in from the other side, as getting very low but staying alive was Yishin, and Mask finding Eileen here at the start.
Absolutely, and Mask needs to come alive. Keep the mask on, my friend, so that way you can continue to see down the scope and find the shots that you need. It just comes down to Yishin and Vanessa to continue to create the space and peel properly to enable the sniper opportunities that much further. Finding Only Wish at the end of this team fight is going to send LGD back to the spawn room, and if I didn't say that before, it would definitely be now, as a beautiful headshot piece played out. No Zenyatta on the board either. Shy
not being heard of too much here just yet. Mask being the one who's making his presence known, at least early on. Already has it and finds Shy there. And now we'll use the infrared. Look, Only Wish, who does manage to get the res off, though. Good use of the defense matrix by the Diva to keep him alive by Yaoxia.
Yaoxia really coming to life as well, and both infrared sights coming out for Widowmakers, so no cheeky stuff coming out anytime soon. But that really shows to the fact as well, this is the first time that Mask has really been coming up on these Widow duels. Very comfortable on Watchpoint Gibraltar on his own positioning to find Mask in unwarranted positioning. And oh man, Shy just shooting Jinmu right out of the sky along with Mask. Back-to-back headshots, starts the team fight early.
And that was off of a Dragon Blade as well. That was used by Jinmu, so there's nothing out of it. Eileen here use his Dragon Blade. Last couple of limbs need his part the rest of the way through on this first point.
Definitely sniping out that dragon. Didn't even get to see the shiny dragon in that newfound toy. It goes Juicia again, popping out another Primal Rage along with Yaoxi to finally claim the rest of the space for LGD on the attacking team. They just need to get a few more members on the payload, and this capture is all theirs. As they're walking into point B, their team composition will still be heavily in their favor if they continue to control the high ground and keep it away from Mask and set Shy up wonderfully. I believe that this could almost be a snowball, timely in effect.
And Garcia using the Winston effectively there to take out Mask. And so there is this last little attempt here to try and hold defensively for Moss 7 Club, but it fails, and they do finally get this first point. Shy coming alive now here after a little bit of a slow start, but now plenty going well as the team pushes forward and continues to find picks that are staggering even harder the side of LGD.
And that's the one thing about a core dive composition. They will continue to put pressure on you through the spawn rooms, as most maps, when they unlock into a new area, you get some stagger and split spawns in unwarranted positions. An offensive Primal Rage will be coming out from Juicia to save his own hide and to get back to his own team, as the payload still rounds about right underneath the spaceship. But a hefty time bank indeed, 2 minutes and 40 seconds to complete this one section and the rest of Gibraltar, with both support ultimates in tow. LGD Gaming pulling out the Valkyrie early on to over-sustain them on said card.
Self-destruct coming out here defensively. Mask does win the battle against Shy once again. Yishin also doing that, and Mask finding another one in Eileen right after the dash was done, and Jinmu looking for the last couple of kills as the rest of the team goes away. Jinmu so close to falling, but has the Mercy come and save him right before he can fall.
Right before, and it's not so graceful when you fall into the hands, or not even the hands, into the undersheath of a dagger from Genji. Jinmu will have another Dragon Blade, needs to be careful. Will he unsheath it this time in front of Shy? Mask, however, will find Eileen. No Dragon Blade for this Genji on LGD.
Both sides using infrared sight here. Sorry, the side of Mask using the infrared sight. Gets that quick limb too onto Only Wish, looking for Shy. Shy just sitting there in the room, I think knows, just kind of hopping around and just waiting for it to end, as the dive does come in there towards the doors, but they'll quickly push back as they were way too close to the spawn of LGD.
And LGD Gaming, they're just gonna go ahead and wait to get a full regroup as 6 behind the infrared site. Mass won't have his, so it will go favor for the side of Shy, seeing behind the walls, and it's going to give Jinmu the open opportunity with the hesitation to find 2 with the Dragon Blade early on.
Puts the blade away and now looks to continue. Yi Shin finding Only Wish again, so the push here from LGD failing so hard right now. What needs to be the switch here, Panda?
The switch coming through here for LGD Gaming needs to be the same side, but against their own grit. Moss 7 Club found themselves on the lower end of this ladder early on in the series, but really finding a footing on this Genji Widowmaker DPS duo so far. I think LGD Gaming this time, then maybe they're feeling themselves a little bit coming up in the series 3-0 so far, that they can make it work, but it's just not working thus far. These small doors to whittle through is Widowmaker's dream, just to snipe your face off.
Well, we're already down to 30 seconds here. Self-destruct forcing Mass to have to change positioning as Jasia uses the Primal Rage to get back onto the back line, looking for Gadan, not able to get to him. Only Wish able to res Secret in the meantime, but the pick still coming in for the side of Moss 7 Club. Jinmu using the blade again, has Transcendence to keep him up as he slices his way through 2, and the team can't get back onto the cart for LGD, so Moss 7 Club doing what they needed to defensively.
Jinmu just wanted to make sure that we knew at home that he can still do a lot of work with the Dragon Blade when he does have his head attached to his shoulders. Forward off that, it's a very unwanted stopping position for the payload just underneath the ship. You can see on your screen there, it's going to be a very heavy win condition for the side of Moss 7 Club, that if they come up strong on these team fights that they were on defense, it should be a quick victory on Gibraltar. And to your point, Labasco, this victory for Moss 7 Club is a must-need. LGD Gaming could definitely use the win in their map win differential going up in the series. Victory, however, knocking down Moss 7 Club, but being in the middle of their group as far as map differential is concerned, they really want that 4-0.
For Moss 7 Club, you at least get one win here. You put yourself in a decent spot. I think the biggest thing that's the surprise for, well, not a surprise for me, is Moss 7 Club. They're using the same comp that we've been seeing them use pretty much throughout. And now it's finally starting to work for them. And it's not like we saw different from LGD. So I think for them, it's unfortunate that they weren't playing this well earlier in the game, Panda.
Yeah, I mean, they really, it took 3 games for them to find a comfort in between Jinmu and Mass. And it's been the same composition they've been running the entire time. It was the Genji and the Widowmaker, but it took 3 games to find the footing, Labasco. It might just be the map for sure, but that's one thing about a hero pool, is that it can be more or less stagnant to whatever map that you are currently on, and that's when the flexibility needs to come through. Hanzo, Junkrat, everybody else on the Overwatch team included, flex around to the map pool, because maybe you're not comfortable on Widowmaker on, say, Ilios as you are here on Gibraltar Mask, but you're really making a showcasing here, right here and now. I want to see more coming out of the gates on what got their defense to be so strong with the Genji and the Widowmaker. The defending team, the exact same.
And Jinmu sees where everybody is on the team except for the Widowmaker. Mask coming around now looking for a target, but Shy takes him out before that can even happen. Good positioning from Shy. Gets him the quick elimination onto Mask. So already down 1, 6v5 is Moss 7 Club, and Shy making it 6v4.
Yeah, he's just running a mockery over here. I mean, waiting for the deflect to go down, just trying to find one more head before they go back to the spawn room. Shy holding strong on this high ground thus far. Not really giving much breathing room over to the side of Moss 7 Club. Even when the dive comes through, damage boosted power shot onto your face mask. That mask got ripped off.
Completely, and he's not smoking, that's for sure right now, as the team just kind of waiting for them to regroup. They do have the infrared sight here to see where everybody is coming out as well. LGD defensively looking good so far, finally being forced back as Shy as the dive comes in onto him. But during that time, Yoshia able to find Yi Shin, who dove in on. So they lost their main tank here, and now Jasia is able to try and find some targets to dive on himself, as Mask is finally able to take and win that Widow battle.
Whoa, and then finds another one immediately after of Secret as well, and that's going to give Jinmu the open green light to pull out the Dragon Blade. That's a big dive coming through, but in between Yi Shin and Jinmu, point capture nowhere near thus far, so the defending team should be able to group and get another hold here, but will the space be created?
The only thing for them too, Panda, is they don't have a lot of ultimates to work with on the side of Moss 7 Club. They do have a couple that are close, but you do have 3 up on the other side for LGD. Now 4 will be 5 as soon as Secret gets another 8%. Shy looking to get into position here to try and continue to keep pressure on the side of Mass. Jasia using the Primal Rage, and Eileen unsheath the blade, finds one, looks for another, and he's able to get one, as not staying in the Transcendence was Feng Mian as it was ending, and now it looks like LGD will stabilize defensively again here right towards the end. So long way to walk and get back for Moss 7 Club.
Yeah, but LGD Gaming, they had to use almost everything in the book outside of the self-destruct. Shy will have a infrared sight here rounding bout. Nessa just jumping off the map to get a new mech and respawn with his team, but it's Mass who finds the space and finds the face of Shy. Will be resurrected, however. No support ultimates for either team, Labasco, as we're walking into this next team fight. Will be a couple of self-destructs and a Primal Rage out of Yishin. Will Moss 7 Club find the right key to open up the door and create the space for Mass to find the headshot?
Well, the self-destructs could be one of the keys for either of these teams. Mass coming around the corner here, still looking, pre-firing around the corner as well, and now backing up as the dive starts to come in. As it's working defensively for the dive, Eileen and Jasia getting them in. Jinmu uses the blade, but quickly gets taken out. Self-destruct and desperation, they're not going to help get too much. Vanessa quickly popped out of mech, as defensively they're still holding on with 50 seconds left to go.
50 seconds left on the bank, and this is where we find ourselves a few team fights back. This was a very scary situation for Moss 7 Club. They needed to get the payload rounding that much further, so that way they can get, so that way they can nullify any last-ditch defense coming out for point A. Not with this long walk that Gibraltar offers to where the cart actually is. Moss 7 Club's DPS, they need to come up huge. Mass needs more space.
Well, it's not going to matter, though, as Eileen coming in with the Dragon Blade gets the quick elimination first. Doesn't find anybody else afterward, but comes back to the cart to stall it here as the defense has to try and regroup. They did lose a couple of numbers as that was happening. Jasia, though, coming back with Primal Rage as they had dove pretty deep. Trying to get the res off here, just able to get it is Feng Mian, as Jasia, though, able to take him out afterwards. Yi Shen and Mask Vanessa finally getting the last couple of players out, as they've now got 226 to push this last little bit and try and get a win on a map.
And Jinmu didn't even need to use the Dragon Blade as well. Yishin did enough cleave damage with the Tesla cannon to find another Primal Rage coming in, but you can't deflect lightning, my man. Eileen, back to the spawn room for you.
So that allows for the cart to get even closer to that golden box. So close here as they're coming around close to that final corner. The re-engage has to come here really soon. Just coming on in desperation defensively is Yaoshia. Jinmu, though, quickly able to get a kill here. Now pulls out the blade, but the blade of Eileen is better. Now goes on towards where the cart is. Has to back away as there was a Transcendence keeping them alive. Eileen now holding on for just a second. Finds his target in Mask, but Mask able to take out Yaoshia first, and then Shy able to get Feng Mian. But it's not going to matter. So close, and they finally get it. Moss 7 Club able to get at least one map here.
Find the space, they find the kills, they find the win. And that's going to be Moss 7 Club finding that victory that we were talking about, Labasco, and they needed it just to feel good walking out of the series and at least walk away not on a 4 Overwatch standpoint.
So they do get the one map win for Moss 7 Club. They do still have some chances to get into the playoffs here, but it is going to be a tough road. What did you like from this final map here, though, Panda, from them?
Definitely coming out on this final map was something immense. Tanks downloading, what needed to be done, space being created. It just couldn't be said enough. I mean, when we saw both Jinmu taking the swaps over to Genji as well, slicing the space in half, just really setting up these sniper opportunities very well for Mask on this final map.
Well, the good thing is for LGD, they get the win here. And to hear more about why they had the win, we're going to send it back to the desk to Kenobi Vowels and, of course, the gracious host that is Ham Tornado.
Thank you, Labasco. So flattering over here. What a multi-talented man. Great caster. Also throwing out those compliments. You know how to butter up a host. But Vowels Kenobi, man, what a second half. We tried to see a light at the end of the tunnel. for Moss 7 Club, how they could bring this back. A reverse sweep. Unfortunately, it didn't quite happen, as LGD will take this 4-0, not dropping a single map. And it all started going wrong on Volskaya, man. I'll just give this to you, Kenobi. The floor is yours. What was Moss 7 doing?
I don't know. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure, honestly, if Moss 7 Club knew what they were doing. There was just some really interesting picks that I saw coming out from them. They were playing this, Roadhog Divas type of style, and I think a lot of it was because of the fact that Moss 7 Club was being had to force themselves to kind of play Brigitte, and I think it's a character that they're not very comfortable with because Gushu, this entire series had just been an absolute menace on the Winston, just getting so much pressure onto the back line and making, getting into the heads a little bit of Moss 7 Club. So that forces them to pick that Brigitte because Gushu as a player can't be left alone, right? You have to think about him. He's getting a lot of picks onto your back line, killing your squishies, and that's just losing the fight for you. So then you have to say, okay, well, now we need to play Brigitte. And Brigitte, the people who were playing Brigitte, maybe not the most comfortable on those heroes. You're taking away from your DPS being able to start to frag out, as we kind of saw a little bit on that second map, or on the last map on Gibraltar where they won. So I think Gushu just kind of was the cherry on the top of the sundae, right? Where everything kind of came from him for the side of Moss 7 Club and for the side of LGD.
Yeah, Gushu kind of playing that elephant, or rather that gorilla in the room that cannot be ignored. So definitely taking Moss 7 off of their comfort picks. Would you agree with that assessment, Vowels? In particular, I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts on Volskaya, where it was Russian roulette, a carousel of you're hot and you're cold, you're Genji, you're Junkrat, you're Hanzo, you're Brigitte. Was there really a strategy coming through from Moss 7 Club? Or were they starting to lose themselves a little bit into chaos?
I think they just lost it. I think they were scrambling around. Okay, we want a sniper, but the Widow's not achieving anything, so we're gonna take a Hanzo. But if we're gonna put Mask on the Hanzo, then what's Jinru gonna play? He's got to go over to the Tracer. Suddenly, you're putting your projectile DPS on a hit scan and putting your hit scan DPS on a projectile, and you're getting yourself completely muddled up. Moss 7 Club just couldn't gather themselves on Volskaya, scrambling around to try and patch together an answer, but couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, they were definitely looking a little bit lost right there. But Gibraltar, we saw a lot of glimmers of hope, though. The kind of Moss 7 Club of old, some really great individual plays coming through from the DPS on both sides. But we're gonna save the ragging on Moss 7 Club a little bit. We'll turn our attention to kind of the positive, the takeaways. Kenobi, who would you say is the MVP of this entire matchup? Everything, taking everything into account.
I think Gushu is definitely my MVP for this map. As a Winston player myself, feel very honored to be giving this award. I think the way that he's been playing, he played, from basically the get-go, right? The amount of space he was creating for his, to let, Shy on the Widowmaker pop off and beat Mask in the Widow 1v1 for most of the fight. I thought the way he was getting into the backline, killing the Zenyatta, making sure Gudan just couldn't play the game at all. I thought the way that he just, created so much space, and I thought it was such a great job coming out from him. And I really think there was something really cool that I liked about his play. It was a very patient kind of play. Like, he would go in, use his cooldowns effectively, and then once he got below about 200 or 150 health, he would dive back out. So he would play very safe, put the pressure on, but don't go too far. He didn't overcommit and play that overly style aggressive of Winston, which in the end, if he had played so over aggressive, it might not have worked out for them well. But he was just such a controlled Winston player. In this meta, you can't really go like, all the way, full balls to the wall Winston, right? You need to really just, keep it locked just a little bit. The dive can't go all the way. You just need to make sure it's a little bit, a little bit controlled. So he did a really good job of that, and I think that's why he's my MVP.
Yeah.
Solid
Absolutely.
pick.
Just something I want to expand on. When you were saying about it was the fact that he was able to play a bit more balanced, not going over aggressive. I think like that's definitely something to highlight. A lot of Moss 7 Club's openings, especially on maps like Volskaya, came from when they were actually able to counter Gushu. On the rare occasion that Gushu did make a mistake or play too aggressive, they were able to catch him out and snowball the fight of that. They were really the only openings Moss 7 Club got for a lot of King's Row and Volskaya. So it was the fact that Gushu was most of the time able to retreat, back out, stay alive, that really kept things going for LGD Gaming.
I'd have to agree with the both of you over there, Gusia, that main tank putting his team's initiation on his shoulders, but he always has make sure that he has the getaway car running to escape. Now, Val's gonna throw the MVP question to you. Would you agree? Is it the main tank from LGD, or you have somebody else on mind?
We can talk about Goofy all day. I definitely feel like he's the most deserving in MVP. He was absolutely everywhere today. But someone that actually stood out to me, less from a MVP and more MIP, most improved player. I was really impressed by the way Only Wish was handling the Mercy role today. One of the weaknesses I spotted last week with LGD Gaming is Only Wish was a little bit questionable sometimes in the Mercy, going for some questionable decision making, really aggressive reses when they needed to, getting caught out on positioning, all that kind of stuff. It was a much tighter ship today. Always obviously not always perfect, still making a couple slip ups here and then, but nobody's perfect. Only Wish was a lot more reserved, I felt like, on the Mercy, only going for the reses when they knew they could actually make it, not getting caught out, much better decision making, when to heal, when to damage boost, keeping everyone alive. And that really kept things going for LGD Gaming. Definitely someone I wanted to highlight as a huge step up from last week.
Certainly. And I mean, that is part of the support player role. If you're quiet and the casters and analysts don't have to shout you out, you're probably doing a pretty good job over there. Now, Kenobi, looking forward into the next week, LGD now coming up against Hero, Taciturn, Panda. Do you think they have what they have what it takes to keep the ball rolling?
Hero, Tester, and Panther. I don't Panda. I didn't know that I didn't know our co-caster was gonna be on that team. You know, maybe he's the coach. He's upgraded from us here, but he's gonna be over there. I think it's going to be a very I think it's going to be a really interesting game to see how these to see these two teams play. You know, Hero, Tester, and Panther. I believe they won their map yesterday 4-0. And so the way that LGD played today, I think it's going to be a very close game between the two. They both looked really comfortable on their dive and on the coordination they both had. So, you know, there's going to be toe-to-toe, both giants going up against each other, and I can't wait to see what happens.
All right, so Kenobi has full confidence in LGD in next week's matchup. Now, Vowels for Moss 7 Club, they'll be facing Lucky Future. Both two teams that have had their moments and their shaky moments as well. You think that they can turn things around in the next week?
Yes. I feel like Moss 7 Club, it's pretty simple. I feel like Moss 7 Club kind of got in their own heads today, but I feel like they can regroup next week and put in a much better performance next week.
A lot of great confidence for both of these teams from our analysts, but that will do it for first matchup. The second one will be Flag Gaming versus 666 Legend. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be bringing you some more Chinese contenders right after this.